I'm Marlei Martinez. Stephanie Miner is no stranger to Syracuse. She was born and raised here, graduated from SU, and went on to Buffalo Law School. Now she's known for her tenure at the Syracuse Common Council. I spoke with Miner about her ideas for addressing community concerns.
So we've been asking the same 5 questions to each of the candidates for this mayor's race. And our first question is, there's tension between residents of the university area and Syracuse University students who live there. Sometimes there are loud parties and that upsets neighbors. So as mayor, what would you do about this?
Well, I think it's really a question of density in the neighborhood. We have to make sure that we keep the balance between students and residents in the right mixture. And right now what we've seen is when you have 5 unrelated people and sometimes 7 and then sometimes 10 unrelated people living in houses and then having parties, you destroy the quality of life. It's not just the party, it's the garbage that goes afterwards, it's the unruly behavior at all hours of the night. People live in that neighborhood because they like to have the creativity that comes near living near the university and living with students, but you have to make sure that the balance is right. And after all, living in a city is all about being able to live next to strangers and share this kind of quality of life that people want to have. And if you allow a certain group of people to become unruly, then what's going to happen is that people can afford to move out will move out, and that we can't allow to happen. And the other part that comes along with that is that we've seen students become targets of criminals because they know about the density of students living there, and they know that nowadays most students have an iPod, a computer, a flat screen television, and all those other things, and that so they're looking to break into those areas when people aren't around. And so there's some extra things that we need to do as a city to protect the students and to protect that neighborhood, to make sure that the careful balance between residents and students is reflected.
Okay. Second question. There have been a number of robberies around the SU campus since classes started at the end of August. How are you going to stop them from happening, or how do you plan to address this issue?
Well, as I said, we've seen students and the student areas be targeted, I think, because of what is associated as a vulnerable population that has a lot of valuable possessions on it. We have to increase patrols, and we also have to work with students to make sure that they don't engage in unnecessarily risky behavior. Obviously walking together in groups is always better than walking alone. Making sure that you are sober, and if you are not sober, that you're not engaging in any dangerous behavior. So it's about awareness and making sure that both the city and the university are aware, but students too are aware in the kind of decisions they make and behavior that they engage in.
Okay. What are your plans for the Connective Corridor?
Well, right now, we're really waiting to see how the Connective Corridor gets unveiled with the East Genesee Corridor part of it and also downtown. I think it represents a tremendous opportunity to help revitalize downtown, but we're still really in the planning stages, and I think that the city is waiting for the university to take the vision that has been announced as a Connective Corridor and really put some substance to it.
Is your campaign reaching out to college students, and why bother campaigning to them when most aren't even registered for Syracuse elections?
We're reaching out to everybody, and in fact, our campaign is driven a lot by student interns. We have tremendous number of interns in here doing the work that a campaign can't afford to pay people to do. They have tremendous energy and creativity. So we're reaching out to them in that way, and also reaching out to them in the neighborhoods that they live in. The reality is that if you live in a city, then you have a civic responsibility and you're impacted by the city's policies. So as we talked about earlier, the issue about how many unrelated people can live off campus, and that goes to code inspection, fire inspection, parking regulations. But if philosophically, most students, that I meet these days are very concerned about the world that we live in and environmental sustainability, and those kind of policies are most easily implemented at the local level and the city level. So if we have a group of students who say it is important to us that we have a sustainable city and that we engage in sustainable policies, then you'll see it be much easier to do. It is a microcosm of what democracy is. If you care about your future and your city's future or the world that you live in, then you have to get involved at all levels.
Okay, final question. What bugs you the most about Syracuse, and what are you going to do about it?
I really don't have anything. I've never thought about it in those terms. I think that really what the reason I'm running is because I think that there are a lot of positive things that can happen in the city. But in order to do that, we need to have real meaningful change. And I think that the city leadership's inability to really embrace change and take political risk has bothered me. And as a consequence of that, I find myself running for mayor to say that's what I have, that's where my strengths are, that's what my skills are, and that's what I want to do. Because I really believe that we can be a vibrant 21st century city that is leading the charge in environmental sustainability, in innovative education, and all sorts of other areas if we have leadership that embraces that and then makes the short-term and long-term decisions necessary to execute those goals.